However, my domain, if you see, it's a little different. I am more into learning and development. So I started my first career as a teacher itself. I used to do a part-time teaching back in the day when I was in college, my final year. And after working for almost 8 to 9 months, I got my offer letter from the campus placement cell, and then I joined my organization, my first company. And then after 17 days, I started to realize that possibly teaching was something that was calling me back, and I decided to part ways with engineering after a few days of work, and then I went back, started teaching again, and since then I've been teaching. I used to teach in non-corporate setups earlier, and then um, it's been almost 6 years that I'm full-fledged into corporate in terms of at least teaching. Um, and something that is very close to me and close to my heart is behavior-based trainings, behavior-based soft skills. This is the reason that I also completed my life coaching certification through ICF. So I'm a PCC certified life coach. I have done my diploma in international counseling program, and I'm a certified mental health professional with Mental Health Incorporation. I do a lot of coaching. I go to universities. I teach as a guest lecturer. My full-time job itself is about designing programs, conducting programs for the people of corporate world, and especially I love to interact with the young professionals who join, and I believe that they are going to shape the future of any organization or the country itself or the world as well, right? So I definitely love working with young professionals, and that is one of the reasons that I love going to universities to lecture as well. I absolutely love what I do, and even if I have to tell about a hobby, it used to be photography, but then now again it's back to teaching. So um, this is what I do. This is what I live for. This is what I enjoy doing, and everything that I would learn and I would do is somewhere to support this particular passion that I have, and I wish to have a better impact with on myself and on the people around me. So that's a little bit about me. I do love to watch movies, although I am not getting enough time these days. But I do watch a lot of movies, or I like to watch movies. I love photography. I love eating, I would say. I love cooking as well. So that's a little bit about what I do in my personal time. So yeah, that's about me.
That's great. It is nice knowing you, Abhishek. So to kick off things, can you explain today's topic? How to EQ sync with your millennial manager in a plain English terms, because most of us might not know what EQ sync is.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe in the topic itself. Just to give a background, it's the equalizer that you have on your amplifiers and stuff, and probably the word comes from there itself. So it's all about how do we emotionally, on an emotional level, how do we synchronize with our managers, and specifically in this topic today, it is about millennial managers. And the good thing is they are also going to be your first manager when you come out of a corporate world, and then you join, I mean, you come out of your college and then you join a corporate world. There is a very good chance that as of current scenarios, you will find a millennial to be your manager. So it's very important to have that synchronization emotionally with your manager to possibly succeed or have a good work life experience.
Sounds great. So I understand the pain because we often hear the things like how to, we often hear about the things where people are getting trained how to handle Gen Z, but this time why not other way around? Let's get trained how to handle our managers. So
Oh yeah.
yeah. So there's one question which I mean, most of our young chaps were asking me is when you DM your manager or when you mail, what are those little tweaks do you make so that the message is very clear? Because they often say something, but managers take something else, and the whole mess up happens.
Yeah, yeah, it does sound correct as well. And I will keep the DM part and the emails part separately. As far as if it is about directly messaging your managers, and if you are using uh, a professional platform rather, then you should be aware what you should be messaging. And I want to bring out this particular aspect into picture as well, that usually we also don't realize that how many DMs will a manager receive in a day, right? In a day, managers receive so many messages, and at least they will have 20, 15, 15 to 20 people reporting to them, and they receive multiple queries. That is just from their team. But if you have a bigger organization, they will be receiving messages from the human resources, or from the IT department, or their bosses will be messaging them. So in a day, they usually receive a lot of message. So let's understand that part as well. And for them also, it might be, and we should empathize with them as well, that it becomes a little challenging for them to respond to every message, right? Now, as a person who report to my manager, what should I be careful or mindful about? So while I'm sending a DM to them, and I know that a lot of young folks will love to be crisp and on point, so that's fantastic. Continue doing that, but don't be vague about it, I would say. Sometimes we assume that they are already aware of the premise, so why do I have to give a background of something? But then if you see, if something happened today, they might remember it. But then if something of a discussion that happened a week back, possibly they have got a lot more information in between. So be precise, but if it has been some time, then try to give some background to it, and a quick background. So that is important. Try to, and this is something with the technology as well. So you all know, right, how a professional message will appear. So if you are using Teams, and on your Microsoft Teams or your Google Chat, you will get a small uh, line of message or a preview of the message. That something comes up, you get a preview. And what is very important, if you want to catch anybody's attention, you should make sure that your initial few sentences at least gives some idea of what to expect, right? So when you are writing a message, try to include few important words in the beginning, so that once your message pops up, they already know what to expect, and if this is important, they immediately respond to you, right? And try to keep your important information on top. Don't try to use jargons, or in a message, I would say a little bit of jokes. And I know that the young chaps also love to use a lot of GIFs. So don't get use so big gifs that your actual message gets disappeared. So be mindful that you have tried to tell them something which is important, and try to be crisp. Don't use too many jokes or non-related topics or conversation there. Try to be crisp and on the point, so that they can respond. And this is not just with millennials, but for anybody for that matter. But in general, millennial managers also prefer texting. So you can assume that they will have a lot of text. So for them, it's much better that you try to be crisp on that. So that's one point of the thing about DMs, right? The next part will be about the email. And I would say that the philosophy remains the same. Although in your DMs, you can be a little, you don't have to use the actual sentences, or you can be a little vague about few words, and you can use shortcuts and stuff. But then please remember that even in your DMs, they might not be aware of all the Gen Z jargon that is being used by your friend circle or in your college. They might not know it. So avoid that. If they know it, I mean, you are in luck. If it is email, then try to be as professional as possible. Once again, don't try to take away the formality of emails away by being, to add a fun element. Don't be too informal. Also, don't try to squeeze in jokes in the beginning. Tell your initial message. I'm not saying that you should, if you are funny it's as such and this is how you communicate, you should stop doing it. You should be, but that's fine. But then try to use these things at the bottom of your message or um, your emails, so that they at least get the point that this is what they mean and this is what they're looking for. And after that, yeah, you can, or else what will happen, they are all in the comedy part of it and then they feel that this is might not be important and they might not take it as seriously as you would want to. So this is something that I would say that we should be careful of. So be crisp, don't use jargons or jokes in the beginning, and try to use important words in the beginning of email or DMs so they realize how important that is.
Sounds great. It was insightful. So the another one even I guess you might have come across is uh, the millennial managers have a tendency to ask why does it matter? Even the most boring stuff, they ask you why. So how would
Mm.
you convert the most boring stuff and make it making it make them feel this is very meaningful and get the work done? How do you do that? Because the why concept is always stuck, and I don't think it's going to go anywhere,
Yeah.
even for the most boring and vague tasks.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure that it does so happen. And one thing that I can absolutely understand from this as well is that if you are asking your manager to do something or to prioritize something, it means that it is important for you personally. It is important for you, at least. That is the reason that you are asking them to prioritize this, right? If it was not, and then you are asking them to prioritize something which is not really a priority, then I think that's the wrong way to go about it. Rather, find something which is actually important, and something which is important for the business as well, or as a person for you, something which is actually important, not just to be uh, somebody that, hey, even I am trying to add some value into it, but that's not really valuable, not to you, not to them. Then of course, that's just a uh, waste of time. But then if you feel that it is important, and what actually works with millennial managers at least is that they also take why part or what is important for you into consideration. At least in general, I would say, if you comparison um, all the other generations, I would say that millennial managers would understand your point of view in a better way, because it's funny that they have had struggles of their own when they were dealing with their managers who may not have been millennials. And even when millennials came into the workforce, when I was doing some of the research as well previously, I found out that that was also a problem. So the way I think this term Gen Z's is being used a lot these days, everybody, you go to YouTube and everybody's talking about it. Apparently, this was same when millennials came into the workforce. And so the thing is that when they came, they were also told that it's difficult to manage them, or they feel they are too much of entitled. They have that sense of entitlement a lot, and all of those. So what I'm trying to say is, these millennials have also had tough time when they joined, and now that they have become managers, they kind of want to prove it to themselves that I am not going to do those things that used to happen to me, and I'm going to make some change. And that actually is a good thing. In most cases, yeah, that's a good thing. So they will understand you. All that we have to do is we have to tell them that why is it important for you. It could be a simple task, right? Probably. And I'll give you an example. So right now, what happens whenever you join an organization? So, usually Gen Zs, they will be leading the employee engagement within the team. So they will do these fun Fridays and all, or probably some knowledge exchange sessions and stuff. So they are given the ownership of that. Now, for a manager, let's say if there is a client interaction that happens on Friday as well, maybe that fun Friday is not the most important thing for them, right? And then you ping them that, hey, do you remember I told you that we need to procure some of these props. This is for the Fun Friday that we are going to have, and all of that. And then you expect them to be answerable to that, and maybe it's not very important for them, right? And it could be one of the example that I can take. But then, how do you tell them? How do you make sure that they realize that yes, this is important for you? So you be very clear about it, very vocal about it, that this is me leading this entire thing, and I just want to make sure that everything is in place so that people are having a good time. They have had a lot of work this weekday, and then probably the last day of the week we can get them together and have some fun. And if you put it across in that way, that this is important for you and the team, I'm pretty sure that they will understand, because as I said, they usually tend to be more understanding, at least in terms of the generation. I feel like they will understand better, at least their next generation. So yeah, be open and be very clear about what you want.
Sounds great. Now, see, the other thing which many guys were asking me specifically was,
Hmm.
if you see Gen Zs nowadays, they join and it tentatively takes almost 2 months, 3 months, for sometimes if they are introvert in nature, it would take 5 to 6 months time for them to make their manager feel that they are a part of their team. Now, what is a
Hmm.
quick way for anyone who is joining a newbie to let their manager know they are also part of their team?
Yeah.
Irrespective of their are they an introvert, extrovert, or a mixed, what now? What would be the three things which they would know that they would do, they should do specifically so that they make their field managers, okay, this guy is also part of my team. He or she is visible.
Yeah. That's a great question, actually. And one thing that I can understand here as a human behavior is that if you ask people to solve a problem of yours, or to help you, rather, I would say to help you, people feel valued in general. And that works absolutely with millennials as well, because as I said, right, they want to prove it to themselves and to the world that they are better than their previous managers. And they had a tough time, and now they don't want their team to um, have a tough time. So if you ask them to help you with something, with anything for that matter, I think they will immediately feel good about that. You value them, right? And it could be professionally. I don't recommend that you have to talk all the personal stuff as well. As long as you're comfortable, I mean, that's up to you. um, but then, yeah, you can ask simple questions that, hey, you know what, I'm just starting off, and in the initial 1 month, what is your expectation out of us, and what do you want us to be able to accomplish within 1 month? And this is mostly about the training. And within the training itself, what are the and you learn a lot of things within the training, right? But then there are few things which is close to the business, and close to the vision that the manager has. So maybe you can ask them that, hey, what do you think I should be learning during this time, and what do you expect out of me or expect out of us? So stuff like that. If you get stuck somewhere, ask them that, how would you recommend that I go about this problem? Or let's say there are some organizations where you join, and you are actually doing some important task, right? As an individual contributor, you still are contributing immensely, at maybe in terms of technical stuff or process related stuff. And um, you have something that is important, and you have a lot of responsibilities, and in those cases you ask them that, hey, I'm stuck here and I want to make a decision, and what would you recommend I should do? So asking them these questions will make them feel important. That is one thing. And then they immediately notice, because now they're spending time to explain something to you, but at the same time, you are also going to find solutions, right? So if you have a problem, instead of you never talking about it, you at least talk about it to, and that to your manager. And in the ideal world, I would say, who else than your manager, right? They are the people who can give you direction, the best possible direction. So you earn something out of it, and then they also realize that you value them, and I think that that works for both of them. So yeah, reach out to them, ask them for guidance, ask them for help. They will notice you.
Sounds great. I guess it has cleared, the doubt for many guys who have joined organizations recently and looking to be heard. So
Yeah.
now, we all humans have a tendency to miss a deadline or, come across a roadblock. And that's where many of us are scared to talk to our managers, or or had a bad had such scenarios where we had a tough time dealing with our managers, where we have missed a deadline or faced a roadblock. So what is your suggestion to them, as an expert in these things? How would you suggest them to smooth the things out before they go out of proportion? How would you tell them? What's your go-to strategy if you're missing your deadlines? How would you manage?
Yeah,
Your boss.
I will tell this with my own experiences as well. But then I would start off by telling that if it is a deadline, don't miss a deadline. Let's not leave that part as well, because it's important. If there is a deadline in place, then we should make sure that we are meeting that deadline, or else it just gives um, an impression that might not be liked, or that might not work for you. Forget about liking, not liking, and uh, yourself is important. So try to not miss any of the deadlines. But then we are all humans, right? And then there are infrastructural challenges, resources. There are challenges with interpersonal stuff, and there will be some challenges, right? And we might not be able to finish that in time. And I'll give you two examples of when I initially started off, and this used to happen. I was very focused, and I loved uh, making sure that I'm getting my work done in the best possible capacity of mine. But then I have missed deadlines. And initially, when I was young, I used to not tell about it, especially if my manager is not concerned about it. I used to hide. And I would get away with it most of the time, I would say. um, and when I say most of the time, it's not that I would miss deadlines all the time, but then yeah, sometimes when I would, yeah, I would try to not really talk about it and let that get lost in the whole whole way of not remembering things, and then that will just go away, and then I'll just submit that. But then what the problem started happening there was that now, after missing out the deadline, and you give them the report, or you give them the final project after like 2 weeks and 3 weeks or something, now the whole essence is gone. So they would have asked you to do something which was important at that point of time, and I didn't send it, or somebody didn't send it, and they send it later without informing them. The premise is gone. They might not need it anymore. So you have worked hard, but then it doesn't show up. So you didn't really get what you wanted to accomplish. That's gone. You have lost the credibility. That's gone. And next time, possibly they're not going to call you uh, for the same thing. But this changed, and I remember I had a fantastic leader um, who was there in my previous organization where I was working, and then I remember. So he used to give me projects, and I never realized this, but then he had also got my manager to be my accountability partner. So my manager used to not do those stuff for me, but she used to just keep a check that have I been able to keep my focus on it or not. and am I working on it or not, and have I, if we are able to meet the deadlines and stuff and all or not. And I never realized that why is he doing it. And one day we were having this conversation, and I respect him so much. So he realized that everybody has a very strong quality, and my strong quality was that I loved taking initiatives. I loved um, taking on new challenges, new projects, and work on it. And I would give my 100% to it. But then, if people stop talking about it and people stop giving importance to it, then I will also get back to my usual work, and even I will stop giving a lot of importance to that. So he used to make sure that that importance is always given, and I would meet all the deadlines that is needed. So so that was it. But now what I do is make sure that I meet all the deadlines, because the moment I have started taking more senior roles, I usually become my own accountability partner. And this realization I had a couple years back when I found out that, yeah, going forward, because now I'm taking a role where people are looking up to me, I have to make sure that I am accountability partner of others and myself. So what changes did I bring in? First thing is, and I'm telling a lot here about how to ensure that we don't miss the deadlines, because that's very important that we do not. And then I'll speak a little bit about that as well, that how can we make sure that if we are missing out, then what shall we do. But anyway, so I would make sure that my day is planned. So every day in the morning, I'll make sure that I write what am I supposed to do. I try to use features of Outlook and Teams to make sure that I get reminders on my laptop. If my month is planned, or if I've planned for 2 months or 3 months in advance, then I get reminders and I don't miss out these things. And I keep a planner in three ways. So I keep a daily planner, I keep a monthly planner, and I also keep an yearly planner. So the bigger visions go to those yearly, and in a month, if I have to finish some big projects, then it goes into the monthly, and daily is what piece of work that I'll be doing in every day. So I segregate it in that way, just to make sure that I'm not missing the deadlines. That is one. Second point is keep giving updates, and it's very important, especially when you are given an IC role, which is important, and then you have built that credibility about yourself that now you will be taking care of your work on your own, then managers will not be asking you a lot of questions. That is one part of it. Another part is that sometimes the managers itself don't care, right? They will not be keeping a check on you, and then suddenly they will come and ask. So we have those situations as well. But there are some managers who don't micromanage stuff, so they will give you that liberty as well. So there are different aspects to it. But in any ways, what I suggest is give them a weekly update that, hey, you know what, this is what you had asked me to do, and these are the things that I'm doing. As long as you have that accountability with your manager, it's very important that you keep giving them monthly or weekly updates or status update on whatever you are doing. In this way, what will happen is sometimes when you go through some challenges, they will know that you are facing some difficulty. So even before the deadline comes, they already know that you are facing some challenges. And this is exactly what one of the things that I'm doing with one of my stakeholders. So we were trying to onboard a learning platform, and they wanted it to happen in a week or so. So they just called me up and they're like, hey, you know what, we have been trying to do this, and could you take it over and get them on board and stuff. And I was like, I will be happy to. I started the conversation with folks, and I could already see that there is time difference, because they are in Europe, we are in India, and then some of their teams are in US, and we are trying to, that there is a difficulty in trying to find a synergy between how do we work things out faster. And then I've realized that now there are other challenges related to compliances and IT infrastructure. So I know that we are not going to make it happen anytime sooner. And then I immediately told them, even before the deadline could come in, I just told them that, hey, you know what? See, these are the challenges that we are facing, and I am forecasting that it will not be able to be completed within the timeline. So keep them aware, right, and let them know. Be very truthful about whatever it is, and in some cases when you are already experienced, you see, there are some challenges that you are supposed to fix, right, and that is fair and that's fine and that's part of the job. But then initially when you are joining as an entry level, right, I mean, frankly speaking, there is not a lot expected out of you. I mean, we all know that you have joined recently and you yourself are learning a lot of things. So I am not expecting a problem which is immensely um, difficult to solve, and I don't expect you to go and solve it. I expect you to come and let us know that we have a problem. Let's solve it together. So sometimes what people would do, and this is where now I'll come to the other part where, how do we ensure that if you are missing out a deadline, then how do we ensure that we can have that synchronization between each other? Is that let them know about the problem in advance. Give them a weekly or daily report. Tell them in advance of whatever challenges you are facing and ask for help. I told you in the previous question as well. The more you ask for support and help, the more they feel nice about it. And then again, you don't have to keep bugging them, by the way. If you keep bugging them, then it'll be like, yeah, there are other people who can solve this problem. So yeah, find who is the right person, but keep them in the loop, right? Hey, you know what? This is the problem that we have faced, and then I'm solving it with this person. There is a subject matter expert, or there is a coordinator, or there is another assistant manager or somebody, and then you tell them that I'm solving it with them. But then they are aware that yeah, something is going, and you are already looking into it. And at least a week in advance, you should tell them if you are not going to meet the deadline. Let them know that it will not happen. These are the reason. These are the problems, and what are you solving? So keep them aware and tell them what you're doing to solve it. Ask for help. That's about it. So that's a little lengthier answer to the question. But yeah, meet the deadline. Make sure that you meet the deadline. And if you cannot meet the deadline, ensure that you let them know in advance and keep a weekly report. And always tell what problems you have faced and what you're solving.
Sounds great. Now, to I'll be heading towards the most controversial stuff because we often come across managers who have grown traditionally and institutionally. Managers who have
Mm-hmm.
been in the organization since the beginning or since, let's say, 5, 10 years, I mean 8 to 10 years or 10 plus. They have grown from the time where there's nothing structured. And there are
Yeah.
institutional managers who have done their MBA, who has done that kind of case studies, who know what is what. Now, being a fresher, if I'm going, if I'm if I'll be under a traditionally grown manager who might be good in their own way, but not aware of how to handle the generational Z, because generational Z are not expressive when compared to others. That's what I hear. My when I work with the young chaps, they say we are expressive. We know that, but at the same time, we don't like to talk to a manager who is hard rock. So in such scenario, how do you suggest these youngsters what is the best way to approach uh, hard rock, or traditionally grown manager? How do you handle them? What will be your step one, step two, step three? How do you reach out to them? It's, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they are humans. It's not like they are immune to you, but there would be a way to reach out to them. What is your suggestions to these chaps if they are unfortunately in that scenario?
So I would ask that question a little bit more about when you say to reaching out to the millennial managers. What you're saying is that some of the folks who are grown within the organization itself, and so what problem do they pose to the younger generation? Is that they don't understand them? So what exactly was that? If you could repeat that part.
See, the challenge with this organizationally grown managers is they are not, equipped with leadership skills or ability to
Hmm.
understand the organizational psychology, or how change management happens, transition phases. And what these guys often do is they say yes to a lot of stuff, and that directly falls on these young chaps who are fresh into the industry, and out of
Yeah.
the consideration to be visible, these guys take in the pressure. And I often hear
Yeah.
complaints that our manager is old school. They don't listen to us. We are getting under pressure. We are getting under huge pressure. We are telling them, but they are being we are invisible to them. So in such scenario,
Yeah.
how would you suggest these young chaps? What would be the go-to strategy to handle uh, you know, organizational grown managers who are not well equipped?
Yeah.
Because you cannot leave a company just because your manager is not good. You have to definitely find a better way out.
This reminds me actually, there is nothing wrong if your manager is not that great and then you want to leave the organization. I think there is nothing wrong in that. I think you should run away. So I remember one of my friend has told this. If you want to go to any organization and if you want to work there, you should always look at least. So there are three things, at least two things. If it fulfills two things, then probably the third thing you will be able to manage. If you're lucky, then you'll get all three. If you're not lucky, then if you get one, then probably it will be difficult. So you should try finding a better place. So he used to tell that look at the compensation. That's one, and look at the job satisfaction, and then the culture, and the manager part will also come the into the culture part itself. So the compensation, are you making enough money? If yes, good. Are you finding satisfaction with the job that you are doing? Yes, good. Culture, interacting with your manager, are they open to listen to you? Are they giving you that space? The toxic work culture, that the term that is being used all across. So it shouldn't have those kind of culture. So let's say either of out of these three, any two things are being met, then you'll be able to manage. But then if it is only one thing, then I'm pretty sure that you will run away or you will be stuck. You'll not feel happy about it. So that's one thing. um, but then let's say, I'll just go in the same way. So you are getting enough money, so that's great, and then you are happy with the job that you do, so awesome. Now the culture part, where the manager is probably not, um, they are not probably not equipped to handle, or not great leader as such. I don't want to just leave that part without talking about it and telling that, hey, you know what, I think the organization should also be careful about equipping their leaders of tomorrow, or the leaders of the future. So they should equip them with that, and then we should not let that slide for sure, because it's going to impact in the long run. But let's say you have got somebody, and they have their own challenges. So how do we deal with them? I would say that, and I remember that I used to use this term a lot, that managing our managers itself is an art. So, managers are managing you, but then even as an employee, we should be able to manage our managers. So, I think empathize, be open to empathy, that a lot of them are also doing this for the first time. And I think that whole, you know, it's a challenge, but it is true that the whole difference between, or that boundary between your personal and professional life itself is blurring a little bit sooner than it used to be. So even your millennial managers also, they carry their personal stuff also to office, and most of them do, and I don't blame them for it. The society itself is changing, the technology is changing. So maybe have some empathy towards everybody, that yeah, maybe um, if they're not able to solve a problem, then yeah, they have their reasons as well, but that doesn't help you personally. So, um, you should not just let things go, but try to find a way that, hey, what can I do that it makes them easier to make some decisions. And one thing would be that you try to make their lives easier by ensuring that whenever you are trying to find a solution to something, instead of just asking question, always give your own observation as well. Try to tell them that these are some of the solutions that I see. And I remember this very specifically. And this is when I started using this strategy as well, was that I used to have a manager, and this manager you would not be willing to spend a lot of time with the team members. And you ask them a question and they get overwhelmed with the questions that you see, and they would always tell that they are not happy about whatever things are going on and how things are panning out in their life. So out of empathy and ownership of my own work, I remember that I always used to tell them. So I used to give them the premise, and then I used to give them my observation, and then I used to tell them that, hey, these are the possible solutions that I see, and if it is up to me, this is the solution that I would go for. And in that way, try to make their lives a little easier as well. So that is one thing, at least in terms of decision making. Let's say, for example, they are difficult to work with, and it happens sadly that, yeah, sometimes you find a manager who is difficult to work with. So you try to tell them about something that you are comfortable with, and how can you find a solution faster, right? So try to find that balance with them. And if, let's say, you are not able to find that balance with them, then I would suggest that try to reduce your exposure to them. Okay. And I'm not saying that you should stop talking to them entirely, but what I'm saying that don't get into a detailed discussion on something which can be closed sooner, right? And during that time, I would also recommend that you start finding your synergy with other teams. And can you move out? Can you find a better place? And then, can you work in a different team or whatever it is? If it is becoming too much of a trouble, then yeah, that could be one thing. So maybe try to see if I can. Um, how do I reduce my exposure to such people if they are not good at all? So that would be one thing. So I'll just recap what I was trying to tell you is, first, empathize with them because they are also doing it for the first time. So keep that empathy in mind and try to make their lives easier by always giving your opinion and your suggestion in the decision making, that I believe that this is something that can be done. And that gives them time to close those conversation or decision making sooner. And the last part is, if things are not working out at all, and this is becoming like a big challenge, then try to find your synergy somewhere else. And at the same time, as long as you are there within the team, you can reduce the exposure to them. uh, or else, you might end up getting into conflicts, and that's the last thing that you want. And you don't want to fight with them. That is also not good, because once they realize that you are not going to be helpful to them, they are not going to make your lives easier. um, because we have set that expectation, at least, that they are not good, right? So if people are good, they will not be horrible to you, but then, yeah, there are some chances that it might so happen, and you don't want to leave that as well. So yeah, I would say that's about it. But if you have any other question that you want to ask among this, then please let me know.
Yeah. So last but not least, it's a big complaint everywhere which I tend to hear, read, see. Is most of these guys are they are traditionally they work 12 hours, 13 hours, or 14 hours. That's how they have been their upbringing. Now, I cannot expect the same thing can be done from our from the younger generations, because they are under a lot of pressure. They tend to learn many technologies to get one single job. That was not scenario for us, way back 5 years, 6 years, or 7 years back. Now, in such scenario, how would you, manage to tell your boss that you are only looking at to work 9 to 6, or 10 to 7, because India isn't just about big four or the other MNCs. In India has a mix of mid-level startups, then MSMEs, then uh, initial level MNCs, then on the top of big giants. Big giants, no brainer. You'll go on time. But the rest of the folks, I have seen many of young chaps, spending 10, 12 hours a day. And I ask, what do you do? What do you gain apart from the working, like a servant? What do you do apart from that? They have no questions, and that lead to burnout. So, what do you suggest? How do you suggest that these guys politely tell their managers that they are well equipped to do the work in their particular time, and they have life out of office? Because their managers definitely they don't have life out of office. What you ask them, they are like clueless. So these guys should not be in the same way. You have personal and professional gains. So there should be they should explore their hobbies. They should explore their passion. So what is that you would suggest them? In which way these guys have to go and tell their managers that, see, I have life after office. This office is not the only life which I have, in a polite manner. So how would you recommend them? What kind of strategy or clever plan they should make? Because this is a burning question everywhere.
Yeah, and I would say that even millennials are uh, have not been spared out of this. So even they have struggled with this one as well. At least people who are not in the role of a manager yet. The simple thing will be to get your task done in time. Simple. That's the first thing that we should be able to do. That is finish your work within your shift timing. When I say finish your work, that what I mean is if a task has been assigned to you, make sure that it is completed. Right? You finish it off and then you just log out, and that's the end of it. That's one thing. But I know that there is much more deeper things into this conversation as well. And at least with when I go to universities, I am telling everybody that find your alignment with organizations. You see, the previous generations, and I will take India as an example. We needed the job to survive, to live, because of unemployment, because of the quality of life itself was not great, and poverty, and we were also we were also developing, right? So not everybody had a lot of jobs, and they wanted jobs, so they wanted to do the work, and that's how they did. But if you go back a few years, no, you will see that they actually had a better work-life balance. I would say. I remember that my parents and my grandparents, they always used to finish their work by 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and they will sit with their friends and colleagues for like an hour or so, and then they'll come back home. I think that line is getting blurred in this current generation itself, and one of the reason I believe this happens is because, and this is very important as well, is because a lot of professionals have come out of their home and they're working elsewhere, and or maybe they would have initiated this toxic this toxic culture of working late nights maybe. So what happened was, these people, they usually come out of their home and then they're working in a different city and stuff, and so what they're doing is they're staying alone most of the time, and they will be working. They finish their work in the office, and then they don't really want to go back home and stay alone all by themselves. and possibly they'll stay at the office and they'll do the work. That is one aspect of it. Some of them who can carry their laptops, which is becoming um, much more possible these days, is they carry their laptops back home, and now at home they don't have much to do, and they'll sit with their on their laptop and they'll be working. And again, I'm not complaining about it, because that brings success, so why not work extra hours? So that's fine. Then there is another category of people who love their job, who absolutely enjoy what they do. And I mean, I'm not saying that it's a healthy habit, but then I've spent a lot of time when I will be designing some new courses once I come back home, and I'll be sitting and I'll be doing, because I enjoy doing this, and that's what gives me pleasure. So I do it. So I think it's people like these who have already blurred that line between the work and your personal life. And the rest of the folks who actually want to have a work life balance are getting impacted, because there are a bunch of people who are doing these jobs, and they are being recognized by their companies and their managers, because why not? I mean, your manager would love if somebody is working like a donkey from morning to night, and they love it. So yeah, I think that's what started to blur this line, and then others are suffering now, because now others will also have to sort of try to meet them at least halfway in this competition, and they are also spending more time. And these people, when they become managers, they continue this habit, and they are more intensely occupied in work even after their working hours. So that is one aspect that
Yes,
happens.
they are so occupied that they get dreams about the work.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I keep hearing this from my yeah, early professionals that because of the late night work, even after going home, once they sleep, they still dream about
yeah.
creatives, or or their work.
Hmm. As long as it's a dream, it's fine. It shouldn't be a nightmare.
I
It
mean, it's a
shouldn't be
good,
a nightmare.
it's a polite way of me keeping, as a dream. Most of them, this is a nightmare.
Yeah, I think, see, that's how it started. I think this culture of working beyond your working hours, I think this is how it may have started. And people started pushing their reportees to do the extra work, right? Which is not very healthy. See, if somebody is enjoying to do that extras, which is fine, but others should not. So how should a young professional draw that line very clearly? Is get the work done within your shift hour. At least let's start with that. Okay, get your work done within the shift hour, and then once you're away, and try to set these expectations from beginning itself. I'll tell you a simple example. So I'm not okay with taking calls from my manager, but I'm okay taking calls from my colleagues, right? Because I also have a sort of friendship with them. So let's say I finished my shift at 5 o'clock, and then I came home, and somebody is in the later shift, and that person is calling me for some help with something, and then you are open to it, and then I'm like, hey, you know what? Yeah, this is what you should do, and then get this done. You see, you have already blurred your line yourself. Now you are setting an expectation that people can call you up, and then you were okay with the colleagues. Then suddenly that same colleague is having a discussion with the manager, and then the manager says, hey, you know what, bring him in the call as well, and then they call you. So don't blur that line yourself. Don't respect the line that you have created for yourself from the beginning itself, no matter who is it. And don't be rude about it. Be very clear about, open about that, why you cannot take these calls, because you are at home, you have a family, and then you have your parents, and then your parents probably are coming back from their office, and this is the only time that you get to interact with them, or you have a side hustle that you are also working on, or you have a passion that you are also following, or you have your grandparents, and then you want to spend time with them, and that is also important to you. And then I believe that millennials managers will understand these things. They will, in most cases they will understand, because they are not able to get those, if they are spending, overextending themselves, and then they're working. So Set that boundary very clearly from the beginning itself. Finish your work within time. Don't let anything or anybody cross that. And if they do it for the first time and then you believe that that is important, you do it, but then you let them know that, hey, you know what, if this keeps on happening, then you let them know that, yeah, it's going beyond my comfort, and then I wouldn't want to do this. But then it also reminds me one of the quotes from Simon Sinek that, if you love your job, then you tend to do it even after your working hours, which is fine. It's not a problem. But then what is the problem is, are you taking care of yourself? Have you gotten so engulfed in your own work, despite that you love it, that you have stopped taking care of yourself? And that will lead to burnouts. So no matter what, and I remember that I recently had so this person had taken a session for the leaders of my organization, and that individual is a TED Talk speaker, and he used to coach the Olympics team of that country. And what he was telling, and this caught my attention, is that if you're not taking care of yourself, then you will not be able to take care of your work in the longer run. So let's say if you have decided that I should be exercising, I should be eating healthy, and all of those things, and if you're not doing it, then don't come to work, because you're unnecessarily going to uh, overstuff yourself, and then that you're going to take out on the organization itself. By the way,
Makes sense.
all these concepts of look after my mental health, and where is the emotional well-being, and all of those things have happened because me at the personal time, I'm not looking after all of these things in my time, and then I'm expecting my organization to look after these things. And I'm not saying that that's wrong. Probably yes, that's good for an organization to be able to look into all of these things as well, but then you yourself is are the person who has to deal with these things. So don't try to cross that boundary yourself. Keep that boundary for yourself. Finish your work in time. If you have not finished your work in time, of course you will be expecting a call. If it is a report that needs to be given, give the reports in time. Let everybody be aware of it, and then log out, right? And once you are home, and if it is extremely urgent, one day you can, and you can let them know that, hey, you know what, if there is something urgent, you can always text me. If I feel that it is important, I will absolutely reach out to you. And do that once a while, when it is really important. But if it is not, then you can let that be, and be open about it. And I think that's how everybody else should also respond to it, right? And look after yourself. Look after yourself. If you are overextending yourself and not looking after yourself, tomorrow you are going to blame the organization for it.
Makes sense.
So yeah.
So with this, I'm done with my questions. So I now I would if audience any of the audience have any kind of questions, they can raise their hand, and we'll go ahead. Where Abhishek would be able to answer your questions. Do you have any questions from the audience? Let's check. No. Okay, okay. With this, we'll be wrapping up our first session at Udaan Unexplored. So next week again, we'll be back with another industry expert with another, crazy topic to discuss, and which might help these freshers get a, get that transition done smoothly into corporate world. So it was nice having you, Abhishek, and it was very insightful. So have a great day, have a great weekend. With this, we are wrapping up things.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sai, for having me. And it was an absolute honor. And it was great to be able to share my thoughts. Thank you to all the people who had joined today's podcast and today's conversation. And, you folks can always reach out to me. And if you have any questions or anything, I would love to hear. And I love doing this. I enjoy doing this. So, feel free to do that. And thank you, Sai, once again. And it was fun. And all the best to the rest of you folks as well. And you can drop my details and maybe my website for the rest of the people, so that they can reach out to me as well if they need. And I would love to see that how this grows, because I would love to hear a lot of things from the other industry experts as well. So all the best to you, and to the rest of
Thank
the
you.
people. Have an amazing weekend, and good night.
Good night. Signing off.